Hello, everybody. It's Karyl Morris from the Image Impact Group and your host here at the Visibility Sessions, the franchise edition. And today we have with us Amy Elder. Amy, hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm going to let Amy kind of give you the 411 about who she is, what she does, and where she works. So, Amy, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Amy Elder, and I am the franchise and operations compliance leader for Papa John's. So, what that is an interesting position. I work with the legal team, I work with the development team, I work with the operations team, honestly, just to help with any issues or problems the franchisees have, or if we have any issues in the business that need just monitoring, or like, for example, for development agreements, making sure those are staying compliant and they're keeping on their schedule. Working on, if the operations teams find some issues with a franchisee, working with them to alleviate those issues or fix them. And then pretty much anything else the legal team needs me to do, I love to hop in and help.
And you know what? This is a fun conversation for me to have because this is a section of franchising that I don't know much about. So when Amy and I got on our pre-call, she's like, I don't know if this is an exciting topic. And I'm thinking, it is an exciting topic. And not only that, I mean, it's exciting, especially for people that are interested in going into franchising. We damn well better be sure that people are taking care of us on the legal end, right? And and that end where if the I's aren't dotted and the T's aren't crossed, there's issues, whether you're internally or externally, it's got to be done. So thank you for
Yeah,
jumping on here with me. Yeah.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about how did you even get into the franchise business? Because that's always a great story.
Yeah, and mine is actually very interesting because when I came in, I my journey led me to different sections of the business where I kind
hmm
of just, I mean, I got the education along the way, but I just kind of fell into those positions.
Yeah.
So I started out in the property management and real estate business. So I
hmm
was working for a property management and real estate company, and the division that I worked for did site selection for franchisors. So they would hire my company
Ah.
to find them sites, and
hmm
then we would present them to them. So I was kind of like their real estate team that they contracted out.
Yeah.
And I was working for a company named Hooters. And the chief development officer called me one day, and we were talking about a site. And at the end of the call, he said, Hey, I'm looking for someone on my franchising side. He said, You do such a great job. Why don't you just come work for me and not let that
hmm
broker make all the money? And I was young in my 20s, so I was like, That sounds like a great idea. So I went over to Hooters, and that's what started me in franchising. And I worked for them on the construction, real estate,
hmm
and franchising side. And as I was doing that, I was introduced to their legal counsel. And one day she came over to me and she said, You're really detail oriented. The
hmm
packages you put together are great. You do a good job with ELT. She said, How would you like to learn contracting? And I said, Absolutely, I'd love to help. And she brought over a stack of documents this high and threw them down on my desk and said, Read through these. And when you're done, let me know if you have any questions. So
Yeah, be
I
careful
kind of
what
got,
you ask for, right?
exactly. I kind of got a baptism by fire for
Yeah.
my legal side of the business, but she was a great mentor, and she helped me learn all of the franchise contracting side, as far as like franchise agreements, development
hmm
agreements, and then different legal letters that you can write and things to pull together a contract. And so
Yeah.
she gave me a lot of training, and then just through growing in my career, I went to work for Arby's. And working for them as a franchise administrator, I learned more about contracts. And
Wow.
then while I was there, they became Inspire. And over the course of 5 years, they
hmm
purchased 7 brands.
Wow.
So I got to learn so many brands, so many different ways of doing
Yeah.
everything. Like working for Inspire while they were growing was probably one of the best parts of my career as far as an education standpoint, because
Yeah. Yeah.
I there was so much going on and we were doing so much of everything. Like no one person had a very specific job. There was so much going on. You just did what you could, put your head down and you did everything. And so it was really cool and I learned a lot. And then from there, I went to Focus for their franchise administration team because they had 7 brands, and I said, okay, I've already done this. I can do this again. And so I worked for them, and they are a well-oiled machine. I loved working for Focus. They were great. And I worked for them for a couple of years, and then Papa John's, at the time when I came over, the CEO was Rob, and the Chief Operations Officer was Joe Seavey, and I had worked with both of them at Arby's at the beginning.
Oh, and wow. So, full circle. That's so cool.
Yeah, and they needed some help with just putting together processes and different things that have to do with the compliance position that I do. And so I came over to Papa John's and have been working with them since December of 2023, so not very long.
Okay, yeah, so almost 2 years,
Yeah.
Year and a half, we'll call it that.
Yes, but that is another thing. It is, like you said, it's a full circle moment.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool. And, this is such a good example of why you learn, why you continue to not just be satisfied with what you're doing now, but take on those extra things and be curious about your role and be visible. Get yourself out there, right? Tell me a little bit about that, Amy. Was there something in particular that you made sure you did so that people took note?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm one of those people who I'm really good at project management. So I'm very organized and detail oriented. So I've always been one of those people where if you put me on a team, I sometimes end up being the leader just from control issues because I jump in and I'm like, oh, we could do this. And I've got you a to-do list now and everything just because that's my issue. And it usually ends up being something that helps me because then people are like, well, if you want to run this thing, go right ahead.
And you know what, that again, I'm glad that you brought that up too, because that's one thing that people, when we work with clients, sometimes they come to me and they say, I don't know why people will want to hear what I have to say. And to me, and talking to them, I know exactly why they need to be heard, right? But sometimes it's hard to look in. And the other thing is that sometimes we've been told our special superpowers are not good. You're bossy, you're to take charge, you're demanding. But when you use it or when you find the people that recognize the power of that in a good way, boy, all of a sudden you're the person that everybody comes to.
Right. And honestly, like my motto is just get yourself in front of people, get into that room. You don't have to be everything for everyone, but there might be that one person in the room who loves what you have to say or your ideas, and they may not use you for that project, but later on they'll be like, oh, Amy said some great things on that one call. Maybe I'll go to her for help with this project. So always make sure you're putting yourself out there because worst case, you're not going to get fired for giving ideas. So worst case, kidding. Someone's going to say, no, we're not going to do that. Okay, maybe next time. But always, if you have an idea, speak up. And honestly, that and staying close to people that you network with, like I stayed in touch with Rob and Joe over the years to make sure that they remembered me and thought about me. So they remembered things that we had worked on and they said, oh, I like the way she does things, but I was always making sure I'm staying in touch with them, reaching out so that they don't forget about me. And then when the opportunity came up that they thought, that's a skill set that Amy can do, they called me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's the power of networking. And then, and some people embrace this fully and some people don't, but taking, the power of networking in person or through email, through phone calls is huge. And then take that over to LinkedIn, and that's an even bigger platform. And, being able to be in people's feed every day. So again, top of mind, because you just never know.
Exactly.
You just never know. Yeah. I love that. So what do you think, now you've had all this experience, you've come through many different opportunities, and you started out when you were pretty young. So now, what do you think is the hardest thing about leading a young team at this point in your career?
Absolutely. That's a great question. One of the biggest things that I've run into, especially with those younger folks who are starting out like I was, the
Hmm.
world is a completely different place now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because social media is more prevalent than when I was coming up, or if
Hmm.
it's the media is just more out there, but they have a lot just weighing on them in the world. And they don't have I find that a lot of people who are younger coming up, they don't feel like, oh, I'll ever be able to buy that house, or I'll ever be able to get this, or I'll ever be do. So you have to give them hope. You have
Yeah,
to give them
yeah.
hope that they are going to move up, that they're going to do things, that the world is going to get better, that this is
Yeah.
just a time we're going through in their
Hmm.
lives, and that they will have that opportunity
Yeah.
and that you're willing to give it to them. And I think people in senior leadership positions have a hard time. If you look on LinkedIn's a great example. You look on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, you see tons of entry level positions where they're wanting people to have 10 years of experience or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people in senior positions don't take a chance on someone who needs to learn. And honestly,
Yeah.
that's how I got into franchising. I knew nothing about franchising, and then people were willing to teach me, and I'm smart enough to catch on. And so
Yeah.
that's how I like live my career, is I'm always
Yeah.
giving people a chance who maybe not may not be in franchising, but I feel like you have skills that could transfer, or I
Yeah.
can train you the way I want you to do franchising. And then I've got somebody who for life, because franchising is super incestuous.
Yeah.
So if I train someone the way that I want, 10 years down the road, I may have somebody that I can tap into that I was like, oh, I trained them. I need them again.
Right, which is exactly what happened to you. And
Yeah,
the other thing I want to say too is, not only were you smart enough to catch on, you were open enough to learn. You
right.
had to have been, right? And you had to have
Yeah,
been open enough to accept when things didn't go well.
exactly.
And, sometimes life is not exactly what you think it's going to be, and it's how you bounce
Exactly.
back, right? Including when people, i.e., your bosses, have something negative to say. How do you
Right.
handle that? So that speaks volumes about you, and how great now that a different generation gets to learn from what you were able to
Absolutely.
to experience firsthand. I think that's so cool. Is there any advice that you would give to somebody who is not in franchising world right now but wants to get in?
Absolutely. I would say is look at those positions that you see posted and try to think of it, don't think of it as, oh, I don't know anything about franchising, but look at those
Hmm.
details and say, okay, maybe I have an accounting background. I could use that as something to be beneficial. Or maybe you're a paralegal at a law firm. Well, we'll
Mm.
train you to do franchising. That all you need to know how to do is contracts. I'll show you how to do it. Like
Yeah.
if you're if you're maybe in marketing for something else, it's marketing is generally for consumer marketing, at least it's the
Right.
same for every business. Our chief marketing officer is from Carter's, which is a clothing store, and now she's
Yeah.
selling pizza. Now she sold
Right.
pizza in her past at Domino's, but she was selling clothes. Now she's selling pizza.
Yeah.
So you can always look at those job descriptions and find something that you can say, you know what, it may not be franchising, but I can
Hmm.
apply this to what you need.
And interestingly enough, I've only worked with people in the franchising space for about 4 or 5 years. So I'm learning
Hmm.
a lot, especially lately, I've been learning a lot. And one of the things that comes up time and time again is the fact that franchises love transferable skills.
Yes.
Quite often, somebody from, consulting is not going to go into a consulting franchise. They might go into HVAC,
Right.
right? And so it's the transferable skills that seem to be so important to the franchisor. So you would think that when they are looking for people to support their own business, that they would give a lot of credence and
Absolutely.
um, what do I want to say, exposure opportunities for that. Yeah,
I agree.
very cool. All right, so I think this is my last question, but I'm not going to guarantee it. But it sounds like you have had some really good mentors in the past. Who do you want to shout out and why?
So, one of my greatest mentors and someone who really affected me a lot growing up in this business and
Hmm.
learning franchising and everything was Joe Seavey. He's the chief operations officer at Papa John's, and I worked with him at Arby's. And when I worked at him at Arby's, I had only worked at Hooters before that, so I was fairly new in the franchising business. And he, before joining Arby's as the head of development, he was a franchisee. And he shared with me so much that side of the business, that what being a franchisee meant. And that was some of the most, like, the best school of thought I've ever had, because when a lot of people who are in the franchising business don't think of franchisees as their partners, they think of them as the employees. I'm the franchisor, you're the franchisee, you do what I say. And they don't think about that's their business, that's their livelihood. They are just paying us so that they can use our name. And that is, and him giving me that side of the franchisee business has helped me so much in my career, because being on the legal side, sometimes you want to, people think like, oh, legal's involved now, it's good, we're going to be hard, we're going to yell at you, we're going to do everything. If a franchisee is having an issue and it comes to my attention, my first thing to do is call them and find out what's going on in your life that may be causing this problem, because I understand it's your business, and so let's figure out how we as a franchisor can help you do better, because we want you to succeed and everything. And Joe taught me that, and I've kept that with me forever, and he's always been a big supporter and always been a great, like, person for me to bounce ideas off of. So he's definitely taught me that, like, not only mentorship is important, but having someone in your court who is gonna be a supporter for you is very important. So there's always that you can have a mentor who really is just like mentoring you in the business, but having someone who's like, you know what, you can do that, or that's a great idea. Totally present that to someone. So, and he's been that person for me, and it's been very helpful in my career.
That's amazing.
I always tell people, find a mentor, but also find a supporter. Find somebody you can go to and be like, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think I should do?
I love that so much. And Joe, if you are watching, we would love to have you on the show.
I can see if I can make that happen.
Make it happen. We can talk about Detroit pizza. No, just
there you go.
I'm just kidding. But anyway, which is really funny because we order Papa John's all the time, and here I am in Detroit. But don't tell anybody, for crying out loud.
We love that. Thank you.
Oh my God, too funny. But any last words of wisdom? What do you think your favorite thing about franchising is? I knew I couldn't leave with just one last question. It's
that's fine. My favorite thing about franchising is what I had just touched on, the entrepreneur side of it. Like, I am helping families most of the time. It's not always, people don't realize that it's not always that big multi-unit operator who has hundreds of locations. Our largest franchisee at Papa John's, who has 200 locations, started as a delivery driver, and his entire family works for him, and he's building generational wealth for his family. And like, that's my favorite thing about franchising, is watching those folks, because I hope to be in this business till the end, but being able to watch those folks who started out with just one location and then ending up with hundreds of locations, and their kids work for them, and their cousins and their family and all of that, and like building a business for the family, like, that's my favorite thing.
Wow, that is an incredible story, and congratulations to that franchisee. I mean, that's amazing. What state is he in? Or multiple states?
So he's multiple states. His name is Nadeem Bajwa, and I could probably get him on your show too. He would be awesome. He loves to talk.
Let's do it. That's awesome. And where is he located?
So he's all over. He has some in Ohio, he has some in Arizona, he has some in Florida. He's predominantly Northeast. He has some in Wisconsin, but he does have a few out in Arizona.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, my son lives in Tempe, so maybe he gets it from the
that's probably him.
Right? Too funny. Well, Amy, thank you so much for hanging out with me for the last 20 minutes-ish and telling your story. And I hope that the people that are watching this, whether you're in franchising or not in franchising, really grasp what she's saying. I mean, you could have such a phenomenal career that you've never, ever expected by doing a couple things: being open, being visible, being somebody that takes charge of not just what's in front of you, but what could be as well. So, Amy, congratulations on everything you've done, and thank you again.
Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, we will see you another time. In the meantime, please like and follow our YouTube channel and connect with me on LinkedIn if you'd like to talk more about visibility. All right, take care, everybody.